Diffusion, the international science radio show.
We have a bouncer on the doors of perception.
The good, the bad, the ugly.
It gets pretty exciting.
The myths, the truths.
Toxicology.
Astroseismology.
Magnetism. The dark side.
Genetically engineered potatoes.
Planetoid.
Planetoid.
I love that word.
Hello and welcome to Diffusion. Sit back and relax while we engineer weird and wonderful science directly into your dreams. I'm Ian Woolf. On this edition, I speak with online romance scam detective Selina Co. Romance scams always seem like something that only happens to other people until they happen to you. Some people are emotionally tortured, while others are scammed out of their life savings. Most people focus on safety in online dating in making sure when they meet somebody, they're in a public area. But sometimes you're not even safe before you meet them. Computer engineer Selina Co had an experience that led her to write a book called I Am a Romance Scam IT Detective, to warn people and show them how she tracked down the scammers. I met up with Selina in her own home and began by asking her what is an online romance scam.
In internet romance scam, a criminal steal other people's picture or photos, to pretend to be an existing person or create a non-exist person. And they will spend months or years to talk to victims day and night to gain their trust. They also use a lot of fake document, fake third-party supporting to support what they are saying, to talk about like their background or why do they need money. And at the end of the day, their sole purpose is only to get some excuses to get the victim's money. Usually, the process will take typically like 2 or 3 years until the victim found themselves victimized. Now, in Australia, in last year, 2018 alone, we have almost 4,000 reports officially about this kind of scam, which Australia have lost $24 million for the whole year, which means $2 million for each month. So this is only talking about official figures. It has been believed that 70 to 90% of the cases are not reported. So it is very hard for you to understand, okay, why are the people sending money to someone they have only met online? They must be crazily abused. They must be very desperate. It is not the case. Actually, some of the victims are quite clever, and some of the victims, they are just deceived by the fake document that they have encountered. Now, myself, even I'm a computer engineer, I had lost $118,000 in only few months. And interestingly, I had never even fallen in love with the fake person. I'm only deceived by document.
So you've written a book, I'm a Romance Scam IT Detective. What's the book about?
It is about my experience as a financial IT consultant. I find myself victimized, and then I immediately took up a new IT system to trace the criminal, and it also talked about a lot about legal matter that I will encounter when I use my IT tools, and also a legal matter that I will encounter when I attempt to recover my money. And I found that especially interesting is that in this romance scam story, I have never fallen in love, but I still lost 70% of money. I think it is quite a new idea from other existing romance scam book. And it talked a lot of different topics, like talk about the hackers, what are the hackers doing, what are the police doing, and different legal matters, legal action, and what can happen if you attempt to recover your money. It is very difficult to recover money, but what you can do. We talk a lot about sociology, like religious, psychology, international relation. We even talk about true love. Normally, you don't talk about true love in a romance scam book. And we also talk about real life romance scam. We talk about marriage fraud. I believe there is no similar book in the world. Usually, romance scam books are pretty sad. But I feel that my book it is serious for the whole book, but it is also slightly laughable.
And you designed the front cover of the book yourself. Can you go through what the front cover's about?
There is a computer, there is a mobile phone, So we are trying to express that the IT consultant, or we call ourselves IT detective, whatever, we can actually know a lot about the criminal solely through the computer, solely through the phone, and we can actually, as you can see, that is a USB bomb, right? Going to burn the hand of the criminal. We are trying to express that actually a computer and mobile phone alone is sufficient to give a lot of trouble to the criminal. So in one of my chapter is called How to Scam a Scammer. So we will talk about how to manipulate the weaknesses of the scammer to give them a lot of trouble.
That was romance scam detective Selina Co. You can find out more about her book at onlinedatingidentitycheck.com.au. And that's all from us this week on Diffusion. Are you a scientist, artist, biohacker or maker who'd like to be interviewed about your work? Would your company like to sponsor Diffusion? Send your contributions, opinions, helpful suggestions and donations to science@diffusionradio.com. That's science@diffusionradio.com. Please like the Diffusion Science Radio page on Facebook and rate us on iTunes. Tell your friends. Follow me on Twitter @Ian Woolf. Diffusion is syndicated globally on the National Science Foundation's Science 360 internet radio station and also on astronomy.fm. Subscribe to the podcast on the Diffusion website, www.diffusionradio.com. Join my patrons at patreon.com/diffusionradio. Make a donation through paypal.me/Ian Woolf. Subscribe to the Diffusion YouTube channel at youtube.com/c/diffusionradio. I'm Ian Woolf. Join us inside your audio device of choice for more science wondering next week on Diffusion Science Radio.
Science is fun. It helps you to learn, to know, and to appreciate. When you study science, you may go on field trips. You discover the marvelous interrelationships between all living things. You learn to read the history of the Earth as it is written in rocks and fossils. You find out what makes things tick, everything from a molecule to a living organism. In the study of science is found the most useful and satisfying knowledge of man. Knowledge of his physical world, its past, its present, and its future. And in your moments of relaxation, now and in the years to come, you will find the study of science leading you into fascinating pursuits. Photography, collecting. Why study science? Study science because you will find in the study of science a richer, more rewarding life.